Yeah, I know how it goes. You start a show and next thing you know, it's 3 a.m. and you're still watching. I've been there too. But hey, I'm not here to talk about the shows everyone's already seen. I've got 10 insanely addictive shows from 2024 that had me hooked to the screen like there was no tomorrow. Once you start, you'll totally get why. So why not stop scrolling for a second and tell me what you've been watching lately? Let's dive into these must-watch shows.
Buzz in! Yo!
Starting off with one of my favorites this year, The Bear. I stayed up until 5 a.m. and binged every episode of an entire season of this show in a single day. I had no idea what to expect, but to my surprise, it turned out to be the perfect show for me. The plot centers on Carmen, who's literally the best chef at the best restaurant in the world. But after his brother passes away, he returns to their family's restaurant, which is the complete opposite of the one he used to work in. One day, he finds some money his brother had hidden for him and decides to start a new restaurant with the name The Bear. This show is chaotic, funny, and too good. I completely lost myself while watching it and remained immersed in Carmen's world long after finishing it. The show has a lot to explore and you'll enjoy every character. One of the key aspects is how it raises your adrenaline to the point where you find yourself just as lost and hooked on the show as I was. It has 3 seasons, 8.6 rating on IMDb, and you can watch it on Hulu.
Have you been here before?
Next up is Benedict Cumberbatch's Eric. If he's in any show, I'd watch it anyway. I recently watched this one and was much surprised to see Benedict's performance in the show. His character was devastating and in my opinion a bit disappointing, but the performances were great overall. The show is set in the 80s and the setting perfectly captures that era. The plot is about Vincent, whose son went missing and there's no way for him to find him. Vincent discovers a drawing his son made of a blue monster, and he believes that if he creates a puppet based on that drawing and shows it to the world via television, his son might come back. Well, the story was quite good because it focuses on children going missing back in the 80s when we didn't have technology like we do these days to find missing people, and the tension between a family for their missing child was totally visible in it. Though the show isn't perfect, it had some moments that would make you want to watch more of it, and you'd find yourself finishing it in one watch. It has only 1 season, 6.9 rating on IMDb, and you can watch it on Netflix.
He's the monster that every child wants when they are lost and need to be found. This is Edgar's idea.
Coming up is Manhunt. This show has the juiciest story, and the way it mixes history with a different type of storytelling, I just couldn't stop watching it at any cost. Do you know how President Abraham Lincoln was assassinated? John Wilkes Booth, an actor and artist who always wanted to do something that would make him famous in the whole world. Acting couldn't get him the fame, so instead he assassinated the sitting US president in front of thousands of people and then vanished. In the 7 episodes of this show, it shows the whole history of how the killer was caught through a 12-day manhunt. The way this show blends the drama and the actual history and presents it on the screen is actually impressive. It just got me hooked into the story more and more with every episode. It has 1 season, 7.2 rating on IMDb, and you can watch it on Apple TV Plus.
I was born with a chance to be somebody. I'm gonna be the most famous man in the whole world.
My Lady Jane. I mean, yeah, some people say it's better than Bridgerton, but I think it's good in its own way. At first, I wasn't so sure about this show. Seemed like some cheesy love story and some classic history drama. But it hit me when I watched the first 10 minutes of the show. The plot centers on Lady Jane Grey and her husband, Guilford, living during the reign of Edward, son of Henry VIII. Unexpectedly, Jane finds herself crowned queen overnight, and suddenly, assassins from all over the world are after her, while her husband fights to protect her. Since this is a historical parody, don't expect anything too serious. Instead, it's wildly comedic and chaotic. Honestly, it'll have you laughing out loud and binging it non-stop. And it's got a different side on romance, which is quite good for someone like me who hates cliche romantic stories. It has only 1 season, 7.4 rating on IMDb, and you can watch it on Prime Video.
There are powerful forces conspiring against the king. What the fuck?
Next up is not Dark Matter, but Dark Matter with a better plot. This is one of the shows I finished recently, and the plot of this show was so good that I had to finish it at once. There's a lot I could say about the series and its potential, but let's start with the plot. An expert in astrophysics discovers something called dark matter, which, if you're familiar with physics, you might know about. By using it, he created a box with which he can travel across different multiverses or alternate versions of the universe where he is still alive. But here's the twist. His evil counterpart finds finds him first, abducts him from his original universe, and takes his place. Now he must fight various versions of himself to get back to his normal life. Sounds simple, right? Well, I hope you don't get lost while watching it. The shocks and twists come frequently and are delivered brilliantly. The acting is spot on and the pacing is excellent. I strongly disagree with anyone who says it's bloated or too long. It has only one season, 7.7 rating on IMDb, and you can watch it on Apple TV+.
You built the box. Behind every door in there is a version of your life that you could have lived.
Next up is Interview with the Vampire. I'll be honest with you, the only reason I started watching this show is because it has vampires in it, and I knew there was a 1994 movie starring Brad Pitt. I love vampires, but this show's story is so good that it's the best vampire show for me now. A human was deceived by Alucard himself and turned into a vampire. At first, he refuses to drink human blood, struggling with the moral consequences. But as his hunger intensifies, he begins hunting and survives for over 200 years. Eventually, he decides to share his story with the world. This show is dark as fuck. It has no dull moments. You'd find at least one thing interesting in every episode of the show, and it kept me hooked from start to finish, and having an interesting story is a plus. This show has 2 seasons, 7.4 rating on IMDb, and you can watch it on Netflix.
I don't want to kill people.
You're a vampire.
I could not save myself, but I could save her.
Next up is Presumed Innocent. It's another series that has a really good movie adaptation from 1990. I got into this series just by knowing that Jake Gyllenhaal is in it, and I didn't have any idea about the movie. This show turned out to be a unique experience for me because it felt almost like one of the dreams I've had in the past. A prosecutor is investigating a murder case, and out of the blue, one of his colleagues is found dead. All the evidences are pointing to him to be the killer, and it's taking everything out of him to prove that he is not the killer. The show is chaotic and charming at the same time. The series brilliantly maintains tension and suspense throughout each episode, making you question, did he actually commit the murder or not? The same question made me watch the show till the very end, and it was really good. It has only 1 season, 7.6 rating on IMDb, and you can watch it on Apple TV+.
If you're arrested.
There's not an if. I will be arrested. They're gonna see that I was obsessed with her. I was basically stalking her.
Ripley. Now this is one of the shows that came across me and I just can't help but love it. This show is perfect in every aspect and fits one of my favorite criteria. It's a grounded, realistic, and extremely gripping portrayal of a psychopath's unwavering resolve to climb the social ladder. Unlike recent films and stories like Saltburn or The Talented Mr. Ripley, it's a deep character study of the lengths someone will go to in order to commit murder and achieve their desires. It also delves into the sometimes darkly funny messiness of covering up crimes and how someone can be both charming and utterly heartless. The story follows a wealthy man who hires down on his luck grifter Tom Ripley to travel to Italy and convince his vagabond son to return home. Tom's acceptance of the job marks the first step in a life of deceit, fraud, and murder. This show offers much more than what's on the surface. There's so much care in every shot, with brilliant details like a cat watching, bemused, as a body is moved in and out of a lift. It's charismatic yet chaotic and deeply disturbing. It has only 1 season, 8.1 rating on IMDb, and you can watch it on Netflix.
The corpse was found on the Via Antica, struck on the head by some heavy instrument.
My God.
Next up is Baby Reindeer. I was not ready for this one. It's incredibly addictive and hands down the craziest show I've watched so far. Imagine a middle-aged woman stalking you, sending something like 41,071 emails, 350 hours worth of voicemails, 744 tweets, 46 Facebook messages, 106 pages of letters, and a variety of bizarre gifts, including a reindeer toy, sleeping pills, a woolly hat, and boxer shorts over the span of 4.5 years. You'd go crazy, right? Obviously, I'd never want that kind of attention in my life. What's even crazier is that this is based on a true story, and you can literally feel through the screen how someone's life becomes a living hell. Gad, the writer and performer, has a stalker, a middle-aged woman who obsessively follows him outside his home, workplace, and comedy club performances. She even goes as far as harassing his loved ones, including his parents and a trans woman he starts dating. Insane, right? The portrayal of Gad's inner turmoil is so raw and visceral that it's impossible not to feel profound empathy for his situation. This intensity is what made me love the show so much. It has 1 season, 7.8 rating on IMDb, and you can watch it on Netflix.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is my stalker. Say hello to Martha.
Don't you say that to me! Apologize to me right now!
Can't take my mom anywhere.
At the top position is The Tattooist of Auschwitz. This is another real life story and the best show that I've binged this year. Tis a mini series of 6 parts based on the book of the same name, depicting the love story between 2 young Slovak Jews. In the series, every time someone dies, a gong rings and the figure of the deceased person appears. It is a tough series with many hard to watch scenes that vividly portray life in the camp. The show follows Lale Sokolov, a Jewish prisoner who was tasked with tattooing ID numbers on prisoners' arms in the Auschwitz-Birkenau concentration camp during World War II. Lale spends 3 years in the camp, risking his life to save others, protecting Gita, and trying to build a life for himself after the war. While Auschwitz is portrayed as an evil place with frequent depictions of the gas chambers and incinerators, I still believe that life for the average prisoner was even worse than portrayed here. This show puts the dichotomy of the human spirit on full display, highlighting the capacity for love in the face of the unimaginable monstrosity that hatred can bring. It has 1 season, 8 rating on IMDb, and you can watch it on Peacock.
You have to find something in your mind. A good thing. You can't get in here.
I found something there. Someone.
And that's our list of 10 addictive TV shows you can't miss in 2024. What do you think? Did we get it right or totally miss one? Drop it in the comments. If you had fun hanging out, hit that like button and maybe subscribe so we can do this again soon. Thanks for watching.